Time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi Manassian and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
Now we are here.
We are here.
Welcome, everybody.
It's an exciting day at Clutch.
It's our last Saturday of January 23.
Yeah, and happy birthday to my brother, Ari, who is, how old is he today? Let's see, 57? No, 58 today.
Raffi and Ari.
Yes, and of course, Sister Lori.
All the E's.
All the E's. Yep.
Well, happy birthday, Ari. Hopefully he's watching. He'll be very excited that we said happy birthday to him. Is he a regular viewer? Has he ever seen the show? Does he know
He has seen the show a few times. He has not commented, though. He had some trivia questions for me he was going to try and ask that he knew that I would have the only one to know what the answer would be from old family cars, but he decided to spare me.
Oh, yeah. What was the third car our dad had? So some exciting things happening in the car world.
Yes.
It looks like they're starting to get back some new car inventory. And I'm noticing some incentives showing up again. I got an email from one of the sites. It was like lease deals under $299. And there was, Honda Civics.
Yeah.
Hyundais, Kias. There are some lease deals out there that are cheap again. And that might be a better way to go right now with the current interest rate market. You kind of lock in your payment for 2 or 3 years. One of the leases was only 18 months.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've seen, you know how we see on more expensive vehicles like a 70, 80K truck, you'll get a 7-year loan. So you have 7 years to pay it off. So your payment is spread out. And it's not as large as, say, a 5-year one would do. But for the first time, I've seen less than 2-year leases. And I was going to ask you what the financial motivation is on the leasing side for that.
I really don't know. I've never, 24, you could go in and make a lease 8 months if you wanted to. You can make it anything you want. And it just costs a ridiculous amount of money because that's where all the depreciation happens.
Right.
Is usually in the first 2 years. Usually the best lease is 39 months.
39.
I'm not sure why they go the extra 3 months. In California, they used to do it because of registration, because then you'd be forced to register it again. So then they'd get a car back that had 9 months of registration.
Right.
So then when they sold it at the dealerships, they wouldn't have to charge. That was part of the reason. But from a buyer standpoint or a lessee, I don't see a reason why we would want to go only 18 months. If you want to get a new car, I love the idea of 18 months because that's exactly when I lose interest in a car.
Yeah. There's lots of values for people doing on a lease basis. If you think about, and you can get a brand new car for $200, $300, $400 a month. That's a pretty good proposition when you consider that buying a used car takes cash out of your hands. Granted, not a lot. And then you have significant maintenance that tends to come with used cars that we generally don't have with new ones. And even something as simple as brake work, for example, which could be $1,200 to $1,500 if you have disc brakes and you want to do all 4 wheels, amortized over the year. Well, there's another $100 to $125 a month. So leasing is a great way to go. And as you pointed out, if you get bored of your car after 2 years, it's a chance to step out of it and get another one.
Look at this. Here's a 22 Buick Encore, little SUV.
Yeah.
$37.99 down, $209 a month for 24 months.
Yeah, that's phenomenal to get a car of that size.
Here's one for $199 a month.
Yeah, that's great.
Chevy Equinox, $239. Chevy Trailblazer, $239. Chevy Trax, $199. Hyundai Elantra, $219.
Wow.
See, these are all the 30. Let me see if I can find the 18-month one. Yeah, there it is. The Nissan Altima, $199 a month for 18 months. You couldn't go to a car rent, and it's only $1679 down.
Wow. And I think what you were about to say was if you were to rent a car, you wouldn't be able to rent it, for 119 a month. Is that what it was? 119?
199.
Oh, 199.
But still, $200 a month, you get a brand new Nissan Altima, which are half decent cars for the first 2 or 3 years.
That's crazy. That's $50 a week. It's effectively less than $10 a day to have a car. And like you said, you try to rent a car for $8 a day. It's just not, it's not even possible.
And what a lot of people do is they use Turo
Yes.
to rent out their own cars. So people will lease these cars for $199, and then they'll list it on Turo for $50 a day when they're not using it, and it'll make the payment for it, and they'll make money.
Now that's an interesting.
That could be what this market's for. They might be saying, you know what, let's go ahead and leave these out there for people. And this is a 2023.
That's crazy. So you think that that companies are buying into that Toro business model opportunity? Because it's entirely possible, but I would suspect that there's some limits. Like there must be mileage limits that are with these leases.
But they're worth paying. If it's if it's 10,000 miles a year and it's 25 cents a mile, you're going to make the money.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if there are limits to drivers and driver usage.
Some of them might say you can't, but how could they ever tell you are?
That's also true.
Your insurance is the bigger one, but Turo covers all the insurance.
What about gosh, that's interesting.
Maybe we should each get one and put them up on park them down at the ferry and
park them at the ferry and
get Rock Rent-A-Car started all over again.
We can they can be part of the Clutch Radio fleet.
Good morning, Isabel. I don't know who she's talking about, gentlemen.
Oh, well, we're very distinguished today. Thank you, Isabel. Good morning.
And Jake says good morning. He was just on Facebook making rolls. He was just live and he plugged us. Now he's here.
Oh, and let's return the favor. Jake, of course, is Jake of Jake's Pickup on Bainbridge Island. If you are in the area, you've just come off the ferry, you want to drive up and turn left at the Chevron station. That's where Jake's Pickup is located. Fabulous food there. You would never expect it, but that's one of the secrets of Bainbridge Island. Some of the best stuff you can get there. Jake, of course, is a top-rated chef, and we're fortunate to have him as well as many other artisans on our island.
And I will share this real quick since Jake did just record himself.
Ah, yes. Here's the master at work. You can see, look at those skills. It's like watching a body man prep an aluminum body. Only in this case, you get a fantastic pizza. Look at that. And if you haven't had Jake's Pizza, again, another, I had one last night. You can take it home, bake it, add your toppings.
You're in the secret club, the pizza club.
Yes,
it's not a regular item. These are just the cinnamon rolls he's about to make.
Oh, is that what he's working on now?
Oh yeah, this is the cinnamon rolls from this morning. He was just live a few minutes ago.
Ah, okay.
Although it sounds like he's playing music. Huh. I'm surprised they left him on that whole time, because usually if you have background music, they're like they shut it off because you're playing licensed music.
Ah.
I could sit and watch this all day.
Yeah, there's something about it. It's like
there's spraying it down.
Yeah. It's like watching
he was watching Grease.
Ah, okay. And now he's
spraying grease.
Spraying grease. And since it's grease, we can talk about it on Clutch Radio.
Exactly. I'm gonna leave that on the background for me.
That actually brings up a really good point that someone had asked me during this week. They asked me, how come they don't see signs for lube and oil filter anymore? And so I thought, well, that's a really good question. We used to.
Better oily than late. Sorry.
Yes.
Jake joke.
We used to have to regularly lubricate our chassis on our cars.
Oh, on the cars.
Yes. Let me be clear about that. So there were a series of fittings that grease fittings that you would take the car in. They would put it on the lift, change the oil, and then they would have a grease gun and they would inject new grease into these key areas that would keep the suspension components and chassis, keep it properly lubricated so that it would sustain longevity in the automobile. So you'd take it in for an oil change, and they would do the lubrication or lube and oil, $9.99. So you could have that done all the way through probably, I'll say the 80s, and that's about when it stopped because at that point, by that time, most cars had been replaced. Their frames had been replaced with unibody construction, whereby
Right.
the frame was now the floor pan, and the chassis became the entire car. Of course, in modern suspension and synthetic suspension, bushings no longer required lubrication in the same way. So that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, Jiffy Lube
Yeah.
still exists.
Jiffy Lube, yeah, the branded name.
Yes, but they
Yeah.
don't have to actually lubricate.
They
Now they just
really
change
don't.
oil. And sometimes some of these places cheat. I mean, I've told this story before where a guy brought out an air filter that was way
Yes,
too big for my car. I'm like, that's not my air filter. Yes, it is.
I told you what I did before I drove into one of them. I took the air filter out of my car. They came back and showed it. They said, "Oh, you need a new air filter." I said, "Dude,"
Yes, I do, but that's not it.
I said, "Did that one come out of my car?" I'll tell you. Look, these guys are just trying to make a buck.
Yeah, but why lie?
That's true. Absolutely true. And for the most part, they're generally right. If you would randomly look at 10 automobiles on the road, you open up their air filter canister, and what you will find is that the air filter is probably pretty dirty. Now, is it so dirty that it needs to be replaced? No. And incidentally, if your air filter is dirty and it has a lot of contaminant material inside the chamber where the air filter is, get out your vacuum cleaner and vacuum up all that stuff inside there. After you open the canister where it houses the air filter, remove the filter, vacuum up whatever debris is inside of there. Also, by the way, while you got the vacuum cleaner on, vacuum up pine needles and various other things that are blocking vents and things. Keep your engine compartment clean. Then take your air filter, and if you have an air hose and you can blow it out, you can blow the air filter out, or you can vacuum some of the debris out of there. You can extend the life of your air filter. If you want to have a perpetually clean air filter, you can buy a retrofittable K&N air filter, and that brand of filter you can remove, clean, and then put back in, and they'll last a long time. There are also sometimes you can buy the canisters that will retrofit and give your car a little bit more air, and it will increase your performance. I don't necessarily recommend that because with newer cars that we use on a regular basis, I generally tell people and advise them to keep their car as authentic and original as possible, consistent with factory specifications. It's always a bit funny to me that people will modify their car uh, after millions and millions of dollars of engineering and refinement and testing have been put together to build that vehicle for you. And then you modify that with an aftermarket piece that has virtually no testing behind it.
So I did, as you know, I think I mentioned this. I added one of these. Let me pull this up here. I added one of these on the Fiero. I think we talked
Yes.
about it when we had the Fiero. And that's just the normal one is just kind of flat. This is more open, it allows more air in. I put a new air filter in. I cleaned out the canister exactly how you said. But this is something I think was an improvement that in the 80s they didn't make it this way, but now this is probably a better way to make it.
This is one of those situations that actually improves airflow. The Fiero intake is on the side of the body. and it has a little pucker that sticks out not very far, and the air goes into that intake. Well, what they found is that with contemporary aerodynamic testing and felting, little strips of felt or yarn that are tacked onto the body, and then they test it with airflow tools, is that the air, there's a layer, a boundary layer, where the air goes over the top and doesn't get pulled into that section of the body. So by taking this unit and putting it out a bit, now the air intake vents are above the boundary layer. So the air now gets pulled in with this extension. And so you get a greater amount of airflow to the engine with that particular intake.
Yeah, and there's a picture I'm trying to show. See if I can get it here, of what the actual one looks like from the factory.
Yeah.
And it's very, very tight.
Mm-hmm.
And having the bigger one that gives more airflow, as you can see, it opens up. It's not up against the body. Now I worry, of course, could water get in instead, or big bugs could fly in?
It's possible, but again, you have an air filter. So
Right.
big bugs would not get past the filter, and water is very unlikely in a side direction. Most water will flow down.
Right.
But if rain is collecting as it's wicking down and getting pulled in, what generally happens there is that water heats up and atomizes and mixes in with the mixture. And water injection is not such a bad thing as long as it's not too much into your combustion.
Yes. Now, if we want to cut over to Jake real quick, let's see where he's at now. Oh, look at this.
Beautiful. Yes.
He's tucking in the rolls.
Yes. It is. It's artist at work.
My mother just texted me.
Yes.
She used to help change filters for people at my dad when my dad had his auto parts store.
Ah.
Because that's back when it was on the canister on the top of the engine. Oh, my hand disappeared. The canister on the top of the engine, and you have the little wing nut, and you take it. And I have that on two of my vehicles, the 84 Chevy S10.
Yep.
Which now has classic plates. Hard to believe that an 84.
93
can now have classic plates. 93 is 30 years ago.
I know, that's insane.
And also the 79 Pontiac.
Yes, and these for the longest time these were standardized, about the size of a pie. So the pie plate would be, you'd remove the wing nut to take the pie plate off, remove the air cleaner, and it was a circular item. And it was a dry air filter. Now you go into the 50s, the late 40s, early 50s, then they had what was called oil bath filters. So there was literally a bathtub of oil that your filter would fit in, and air would come in, and that oil bath would suck out particulates before it went into the air went into the carburetor. This did not last very long because obviously it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So the dry air filter replaced that. But like a lot of automotive technology, there's ongoing development to the point now where when we look at engine technology and engine management systems, it's so complicated I can't even keep up with it. Every 2 years, the sophisticated engine testing equipment that shops purchase to test their cars needs to be updated with new software, and the machines sometimes break down, and you have to call a very specialized technician to come and repair the machine. So you need somebody to come repair the machine, and if you hire somebody that works there full time to repair the machine, even they can't get the information they need from the people who manufacture it, because the shop manuals are like this thick, and sometimes they can't even get them from the companies that make them. So
yeah. Computer programming, that's the job that's going to last a long time until AI replaces all the computer programmers.
Yes, and by then we'll all just be armless blobs floating around.
Yeah.
We
Meat market,
won't
right?
need to go anywhere.
Meat market.
There won't be any more cars because we won't have a need to go anywhere.
No, we'll just put on our goggles and we're there.
Yes.
If you have any questions about buying, selling, trading, leasing, anything about cars, please post it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, post something in the comments for me because I'm not sure the comments are working on YouTube, but
Oh, in YouTube. Okay.
I could be wrong. I saw a comment come through on the email that said somebody posted. I mean, it was a spam, so maybe YouTube was just able to cover it. It's something in Russian.
It could have been a question from Russia. We do have international listeners.
Yes, we do have our friend in Ireland that tunes in every now and again.
Yes.
But yeah, the comment section is wide open. You can say whatever you like. You can ask us a question. You can just say hello. Let us know you're out there. We do have something really cool that's going to happen next week. Do you want to talk about it now a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it now. And we can use it as a segue into old school because it is an old school vehicle.
Well, why don't we just go old school first?
All right.
He wants to know if I want to talk about the Porsche transaction. I already did last week, Ron.
Yes.
The ridiculous overpriced buying one and losing 100 grand.
Yeah.
But we could bring up some more stuff about some of these tricks that people are doing. But first,
we could do that. We could do a short section on that.
But first, let's go old school.
All right.
Let me get rid of that. Let me hit this and boom.
All right. Well, welcome to old school. This week, we're doing something really fun. We're going to talk a little bit about a car that's actually a truck. And you might remember back in the we'll say late 60s, early 70s, the company Datsun came to the United States and imported cars from Japan. Now, Datsun would become Nissan, but from 1960 to 1965, they offered a pickup truck called the Datsun 320, which became the 520. And the 520 would then become the 620. And of course, in between the 520 and the 620 was the 521, which was one of the most top selling vehicles in the United States. And it was a mini pickup truck made from 1966, I believe, to 72. The car that we're talking about today as old school is the Nissan pickup truck. And this particular one I have on offer at auction on Bring a Trailer. And for those of you who are not familiar with Bring a Trailer is the leading online auction house for unique and classic vehicles. And this 1972 Datsun 521 pickup truck has a 4-speed manual and 4-cylinder engine. And it is believed to be an original vehicle with original paint, original interior. And this is a work truck. Up until this year, it was still hauling wood and firewood and helping be part of a service fleet. So it's in excellent condition. It was originally purchased in Oregon, in the warmer, drier part of Oregon called the Dalles. And it spent most of its time in California and Washington State and Oregon. And as a result, it's got the original finish with wonderful wear marks and patina on the doors from people hanging their arm out while driving. And some of the components have been updated. The engine has electronic ignition on it, and which helps for daily use. But it runs, starts, stops, and drives. And these have become increasingly more collectible. And it's getting harder and harder to find one that isn't rusted in some areas or hasn't been repainted or hasn't had a complete restoration. So a wonderful opportunity for anybody interested in a unique and hard to find early era Japanese pickup truck. Hard to believe, Dan, this is 51 years old.
It looks like a mini Fred Sanford truck.
Yeah, and what's amazing about these trucks is they were built very, very well. The steel quality is high quality steel, stamped steel, and this is why they tend to last. Uh, the the engines were fantastic in these, just very, very durable, very easy to manage, very easy to maintain. Basic carburetor, standard ignition, those kinds of things that really improve the reliability and durability of these.
Is this from a refrigerator?
It looks like it. It's like a refrigerator latch. Yes.
Yeah.
And two of them for the drop down tailgate. Those are original for the period aftermarket side view mirrors. These were very common on the West Coast, and they increased your visibility when you were carrying a heavy load in the bed. So the model here, the Datsun 1600, is the last year of this model, and there's the Dallas Fort Dallas, Oregon, where it was first sold, and it's spent time in Washington State, so it has a green and white Washington State plate, and you can see there's surface rust on it, but this is a very drivable, enjoyable. You know what that little cutout is on the bed there, Dan?
Is that to get to the fuel tank?
That's to get to the fuel tank to change out the fuel sender, so you don't have to drop the tank.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is that where the fifth wheel goes?
Yeah. So the fun thing about this is next week, this will be closing on Bring a Trailer. So we'll actually see it close live and see what the final bids are. So we'll watch as bids come in, and it'll be a feature of the clutch radio for next week. There's the odometer showing 26,000 miles. We believe that has gone over once, but it's hard to know. It's most likely not 24,000 miles, but it's as I said.
Ooh, yeah, that's not 24,000.
Yeah, that's the underneath the front seat. So the seats are covered with a blanket. There's the back of the seat, so you can see that the seat back didn't wear out as much as the seat bottom, and the seat bottom is black. It probably was originally a complete red seat. Seat belts, no carpet. Yeah, so it's a very, very honest working truck, and everything works on it. The light works, the interior light works, the all of the lighting on it works. It's just a great little vehicle.
Look at that.
Yeah. And that is an aftermarket air cleaner.
Speaking of air cleaners that you need to change.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. So next week during the show,
yep,
we will actually be able to watch it live. Do we have any comments? Oh, we already have some comments.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for bringing this beauty on board. Wow, look at this.
Yeah,
17 comments already.
Yeah, it'll generate a lot of interest. This is the kind of vehicle that people remember seeing, and they'll have fond stories. I grew up with a best friend. He had a yellow one, and we drove it everywhere. They're very durable. They're if you have friends and you live in a dry climate, they just hop in the back. Now you can't do that as much as you used to. But there's a story on here that somebody already wrote in, talked about his dad had one, and he put a camper shell on the back and put the kids in the back and drove from Washington to North Carolina. And
wow.
Yeah, imagine doing that today.
So this ends next week at 10:22. So it'll be right in the middle of the show.
Right in the middle of the show.
We'll be able to see if there's a bunch of oh wait, we've got Jake is rolling another batch.
He's rolling another one.
But yeah, we'll be able to, right in the middle of the show, we'll be able to go in, watch how you comment back to people, watch the bidding go up and down, or not down, go up. I mean, it's already at 2,000. I didn't look. I'm guessing the first bid was 1972.
It could have been, yeah. But I'll tell you this.
I would bid that immediately.
There you go.
Excuse me.
These these regularly sell. If you're looking for a fully restored one, they're going to be 15 to 20 grand. So if you're looking for something that's fun, if you want one, this is a great way to go. You can get in, own it, drive it, and just use it as it is and not restore it, or buy it, enjoy it, and then decide later if you want to restore it or slowly fix it up. Whatever, whatever you decide. But the upside on these vehicles is they are so endearing. Everybody who sees it smiles. They recognize it, or they'll have a story about how they owned one, or their parents owned, or their uncle owned, or my cousin had one. We used to love to go there, and we'd drive around in it.
My cousin? You saying your cousin had one?
My cousin. Yes.
And next week also is a big day. It is my son's 18th birthday.
18. Wow. Yeah. Where does that time go?
Maybe I'll buy him a pickup truck.
Yes, you should buy him an 18-year-old pickup truck. What's interesting about these trucks, and we had this conversation, if there's no automobile manufacturer that makes a mini pickup truck anymore. The mini pickup truck was really a great idea because it gave you pickup truck capability for small loads. I believe these are half-ton trucks, so it's not a lot of capacity, but when you think about it, most of the loads you're going to be moving around are not a great deal more than that.
And you can park them easily.
Yeah, and they're easy to maneuver. They also get great fuel economy, and they're inexpensive.
Well, I'm gonna beg to differ with you because I think the new Hyundai Santa Cruz, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ford Maverick, I would think those are considered mini trucks now. Are they not?
No, if you look at the side view and wheelbase and height and general proportions of the Ford Maverick, and you put this truck next to it, you'd be astonished at how much bigger that profile has become. The mini truck is really a small vehicle, and that's a big part of what makes it such an interesting proposition. Is contemporary trucks today are so much bigger. Even an F-150 from 1988 or 89, you park an F-150 next to a new one, and it's colossal next to the original. Cars have overgrown. They've gotten enormous. And part of the reason why is we've had to raise the frontal area so that pedestrian impact is higher. So they tend to bounce off rather than fold over and get head concussions on the hood or on the windshield.
And I just looked at the Maverick, and you're right. The Maverick is basically what the Ranger used to be.
Yeah.
And the Ranger was already bigger than that.
Yeah.
All right, you're right. You're as usual.
No, I don't want to lord that over on you. But if you could please say that again, and I'll record it for my wife.
Oh, this is being recorded.
There must be some marketing data that supports that the public no longer wants a mini truck, but they're very, very helpful, very, very usable. Now, Jake has a truck, but Jake's truck, his needs are for towing because he tows a race car. And so he needs something that's going to be able to haul anywhere from 8 to 10,000 pounds. And he also, like a lot of people that purchase big trucks, they've got some heavy duty work that they're going to do, either hauling a trailer or maybe doing heavy construction work. But a mini pickup truck, if you're somebody who maintains a pool, somebody who does plumbing, somebody who does yard work, you can fit pretty much every hand tool in the back and go do your maintenance rounds and save on fuel and not have to have an enormous and expensive truck.
Well, that is very cool, and that's our old school.
Yeah,
going Datsun 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's right, because we went Datsun last week.
Yeah, so we went the car, now we went the truck. So let's see what let's check in on Jake's video here. He's got some
He's
fresh
still going.
dough. He's lining it up to slice it.
Yep.
So he was on for 52 minutes
Wow.
right before our show, getting these ready.
He's a hardworking guy.
It would be. I'm telling you, this is a channel. Just go on Twitch and do nothing but do this, and people will just sit and watch it.
Sit and watch it. There's a whole channel where people watch people eat too.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Just watching people eat their food. But that's not automotive. Could there be a whole channel of people just driving? I wonder about that. I know there's channels where they show undercarriages being cleaned using
drivers. Yeah. Ammo. Have you watched Ammo New York City and Ammo NYC? That guy details everything. He's got a shop that is like amazing. I'd love to have a shop like his.
Yeah.
He can lift the cars. It's got a drain built in. He's got a vacuum cleaner system built in.
Yeah.
It's got those hexagon lights on the ceiling so you can see all the lines on the car.
Yeah. There's something very engaging about watching people do the thing they're very good at.
Yeah. And then you go try to do it yourself. You're like, this isn't how it looked.
Well, it takes a long time. I read somewhere years ago that 10,000 hours is what it takes.
Malcolm Gladwell, I think that was the 10,000 hours to be an expert.
Yeah. So do we have 10,000 hours on Clutch Radio now?
We're getting there. We probably have between this and the CBS show, that was 13 hours or 12 hours. I think we did 13 episodes. And then this is we're probably on about 150.
All right. We're getting there.
So we got quite a ways to go.
We're getting there.
Speaking of quite a ways to go, Ray sent an interesting car and an interesting story. So let's do a car of the week real quick. We'll use Ray's. I haven't heard a comment from Ray yet. Interesting. Where's Ray?
Take a look.
So this car is quite an interesting story.
Did he sell the BMW from last week?
I'm not sure.
Oh, look
at
that.
Another Camaro, though.
Yeah. Ray's to red.
He went to red. And this one only has 87,000 miles on it.
Okay.
He went and he thought there was a big problem with the engine.
Mm-hmm.
He had the oil changed, and he went underneath and saw all this oil just spewing out. And it was just the faulty oil ring on the oil filter.
Yeah.
That's all it was. He was ready. He thought he'd have to do an engine replacement.
Oh, wow.
And it could have blown the engine had he driven a lot further.
Yes.
So even after you get an oil change without a lube, and boom, he found a very, he thought the oil, he thought it was going to be some really expensive thing. It was just from the oil filter.
So one of the things that happens when you take your car for an oil change is they used to put it on the lift, undo the little drain plug, and then drain the oil, then put the plug back in, and then go and fill the oil from the fill cap on top of the engine. Now, if that oil cap at the bottom on the oil pan is not threaded properly and goes back and seats with the ring, oil will spill out of there. Now, not a lot, so you don't lose it catastrophically, but sometimes they don't put the cap back on the oil, and if you leave and you drive, oil will migrate out of that hole because it's churning around in there. And now there's a baffle sheet that is usually covering most of that to prevent oil from splashing out. But you can lose a lot of oil that way, and you can run your engine dry. That's a disaster. That's catastrophic failure. But that ring is also on the oil filter, which gets screwed on. And if it does not seat, oil will spill out of that area and you will lose oil rapidly. So if the ring is not tight against it, or if they cross-threaded the oil filter on thinking it's tight, and people are moving quickly when they do these services, so sometimes they're not as careful as they should be, you'll lose oil through that, and you can have engine failure. I bought a Mustang for $300 because it had a significant oil leak. And when I went underneath to check it out, I drained the oil, and I thought maybe it's the pan gasket. I pulled the oil pan out, replaced the gasket, sanded it all, finished it all, put it all, and then I removed the oil filter, and that was ultimately what it was. It had not properly threaded in, and it was leaking from the filter. I put a fresh filter on, closed up the pan, fresh oil in it, drove great. $300. So
Now, when I had my DeLorean, the way that they put the oil, the nut, my hand's disappearing again. Where they put the oil nut was at this weird angle,
yes,
and you had to go up and then like turn it this way. So the guys at the DeLorean, I think the ones here in Bellevue actually, they created a spout, and literally you could change the oil by just going. You just open it up and it would drain, and you closed it back up. You never had to unscrew it or screw it. And I've now seen these other places, and I've always wondered. I guess maybe if something hit it in a weird way, that's why they don't do it in most cars, because you could just empty the oil out.
Most cars now, they just remove the dipstick
and
suck
it out.
They'll suck it out of the dipstick with a high pressure pump, which is much better than removing anything. Now, in that situation, the downside to that is you don't often get the sediments that are at the bottom of the oil pan, which tend to flow out. And this is what I always recommend to people is when you get your oil changed, ask them for a sample of the oil so that you can see if the oil is brownish or if it's got a lot of sediment in it. That's a good indicator that you want to drop the oil pan, clean out what's inside the pan, have the pan fully clean, and do a visual inspection of the crankshaft, which is down at the bottom. That's where the big spinning is going on, moving the pistons up and down.
The big spinner thinger.
Yes, the big spinner thinger. And get a visual on the condition of the metal. Inspect the oil itself. If there's any metal particulates or shavings in there, that's not a good sign. But for the most part, if your oil is dirty, it's a good time to drop that pan, change the gasket, and depending on the size of your engine and the type of engine, how it's oriented in a car, it's not an expensive thing to do. And it's a good thing to do if you need to.
Dan mentions his friend's Mercedes oil filter is on top.
Yeah, and some cars have top side filters, sometimes have side filters. Some of them are easy to get to. I think the one in your Fiero, Dan, is kind of difficult to get to.
Everything in the Fiero is difficult to get to.
But Dan's
that is up for sale as soon as anybody wants it.
Yeah.
It needs a good detail, and it'll be ready to go.
Yeah, so let's get back to Ray's car of the week, because we left it behind after you told the story. So it's got.
I noticed something in the text that he didn't actually make this a car of his week. He was just telling me about the story.
Okay. So maybe he hasn't priced it yet.
Yeah, he said, I will be at breakfast in Gig Harbor. We'll miss the show, but we'll listen to the rerun. Anyway, here's a good story for the show. See, I missed this beginning part.
Okay.
Had his oil change, smelled oil when he drove to Gig Harbor to get gas, and he saw this. Mind you, it never leaked a drop. So let's pull up. He has a little video. Let me see if I can get this video to go. Oh, my.
Shelby, this vehicle never had any oil leak.
Now we're not seeing it.
I know. I'm going to pull it up. I've never pulled up a one of these their videos. Hold on a second. I think if I open it with QuickTime Player, that'll do it. And then if I bring it over here and I hit share screen window, there it is. All right.
Oh my.
Shelby, this vehicle never had.
Yeah, that's literally dripping oil.
I'm at Costco getting gas, and the oil is just pouring out of here.
Yeah, he's right.
Just absolutely gushing.
Wow.
That's a lot of oil loss.
K2 told me
he's lucky he didn't lose the engine.
Did they forget the plug? I smell oil everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and this is a good thing to keep in mind, is that things like this can happen to your car. So take a look underneath your car periodically, see if it's dropping any oil, see if it's losing any. it's not unusual. You'd get something about this size, maybe a quarter size, leaking or dropping. Um, that might signal either a valve cover gasket that is going bad, or it could be it could be your oil pan gasket that is starting to go bad. Gaskets are important to regularly change, but on modern cars, they can go 100,000 miles without any problems. But oil is one of the most important things to keep in your engine, and keeping it clean will increase the longevity of the engine. I change oil in my cars every 5,000 miles. And if you use synthetic oils, you can extend that to 7,500 miles. If your car has more than 250,000 miles, you may want to reduce that to 3,000 to 3,500 miles, just simply because engines with more miles tend to use a little bit more oil. And as a result, you may want to change that oil more frequently.
Well, I had an issue with my pickup truck where it was leaking a ton of oil. And let me see if I can bring this one up real quick. I pulled this up and it really works.
It does work. What's astonishing about this product, and there are similar products to this, Blue Devil does a great job with their product. But basically, what this does is, and I'm not 100% certain of the science. It basically is a treatment that will seek out gapping areas and fill them. It's a synthetic that will fill those areas, and there's something about the viscosity of it that's different from oil itself. So it tends to fill vacancies or voids, and boy, it does work. It's a similar thing to if your radiator has small leaks, you can put in a stop leak into the radiator, pour it right in there, and it'll stop the leak. Now, products like this, they will do the temporary fix, but you don't want to use them for long periods of time or for a car that you're relying on for ongoing regular use, because after a couple thousand miles, this is eventually going to yes,
Range back.
his Camaro would have needed a tub of that. Absolutely.
Well, you were at Costco. I'm sure they have it there.
No, what your car was experiencing is what we would call catastrophic oil loss. And the catastrophic part of it would be that it would have eventually taken your engine down. When you don't have oil and you have metal to metal creating high levels of friction, that turns into burning, and burning turns into melting, and melting ruins a motor.
Yeah, and mine was leaking a lot. And when they looked at the engine, they said that it was the flange where the filter hooks up to the engine. And there's a part, it's a cheap part. It might have been a $10 part that they had to replace, but it was a 5.5 hour job.
Yep, because of where it's located.
Where it's located, they have to basically drop the engine out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spend $700, $800 in labor
on a $1,200 car,
on a $400 truck.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what? I'll live with the leak. And I put this stuff in. I thought, well, it's a pretty big leak.
Yep.
What worries me is the next time they go to change the filter, that it's going to, whatever seal this stuff made, it'll crack that seal. When they put a new filter on, it'll start leaking again.
Well, that's entirely possible. But if you're not using that vehicle and not putting a lot of miles on it, you don't necessarily have to change the filter again. You can certainly change the oil again.
Yeah.
And most oil changes will accompany a filter change as well. But we live in a climate where we don't pick up a lot of dust. We don't pick up a lot of particulate matter. Engines tend to run cooler. So the amount of engine wear associated with oil use is pretty minimal. And I would suspect that your truck is not going to get anything more than 3,500 miles over the course of the next 2 years.
Yeah,
So,
most likely. All right, Jake's putting in the crumble now. I
yep.
missed this part before.
Ah,
We actually puts in the cinnamon inside the roll.
yes. This is exciting.
And I'm on the text chain. I just got the text right that they are ready.
Ah,
I have
and
to
of course,
I'm taking my son to go get Buffalo Wild Wings, or not. We're going to Wingstop, so
ah,
I will not be able to head to Jake's and get one of these rolls today.
fantastic wings at uh, Silver City Diner.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we were there.
Yes, we were. We
Yes,
didn't order the wings, but they're really, really good there.
we go with the boneless wings
Yes, they have boneless wings there
and
too.
the chicken sandwich they have now at Wingstop.
Now, are you going today after the show?
Usually we drive up there, and then I'd give him a little driving lesson in the parking lot at Olympic College,
Nice.
and then yeah, he needs to learn how to drive.
Yes, that's important, especially at 18. I like you. On the day I turned 16, I went to the DMV, the
Me
California
too.
DMV in Santa Monica, and I got my driver's license. And it was pouring rain, not light rain. It was pouring rain when I got my license. And I told my dad, I am getting it today.
Our good friend from Ireland just got in.
Ah, okay.
8 minutes to go, but you can watch the rerun.
Good morning.
Morning and evening to you.
Yeah. And what I was speaking of pouring rain, I suspect it might be raining in Ireland right now.
I'm guessing you might be right.
That's why they make such great beer there, because nobody's outside. They're inside, and there's only three things you can
Oh,
do.
actually,
Making
in
beer is one of
Dublin,
them.
right now it's 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
And raining.
No, 4% chance of participation.
But for
It's just mostly cloudy. It's 6 p.m.
4% chance of precipitation or participation.
Participation and precipitation. 7 degrees Celsius if you want to be.
You know what I'm about to say, don't you? It's right there.
It's a wet heat.
No, it's up there. Then the logo.
Oh, highfalutin. Oh wait, we've zoomed in a little bit. Hold on a second.
Now, oh, okay. That's a heck of a knife.
Lots of knife.
Yeah. Now, Dan, we haven't done gas prices in a while, and gas prices have changed quite a bit. So we should look at that. And if you can find, I don't know if you've seen, there was a chart I saw the other day. Gas prices were double what they are now. When I was down in California at one point in the fall, while I was teaching, because I was there for 15 weeks, during that time, I saved my gas receipts, and the highest price I paid per gallon for regular unleaded was almost $7 a gallon. And I just filled up for $3.50 here in Washington State. Now, gas might be in the $4 range now in California per gallon.
Well, let's do the bumper. Let's do the bumper,
All right.
and then we'll talk gas. We'll end the show on the gas price.
How much is gas where you live?
There we go.
All right.
Now, the national average is actually up a tick. Do you know what the national average is right now?
329.
351.
351. Okay. So it has gone up.
Washington is currently at 411.
Wow. That's quite high, because as I said, I just filled up and I think I paid 359.
Wow. Who do you think has the cheapest?
I'll go cheapest with Mississippi.
They're number 2.
Oh, and
Texas
are they
number 1 at 313.5.
313? Wow.
And the most expensive?
It's got to be, it's either California or Hawaii.
It's Hawaii. A big time though. I mean, California was beating them by a lot.
Yeah.
Hawaii's at 493. California's at 453.
Yeah. Okay. But what's astonishing is that at $4.50 a gallon, Again, keep in mind, I was paying $7 a gallon. So that's a huge difference. It's not double, but if you consider it's double, that means you go from, if you're paying $600 a month, you're going to $1,200 a month. Now, in Ireland, he filled up for $1.38
Thank you.
per liter.
This is from an album that came out in 1970.
What are you playing there?
Wait, hold on. What is that noise?
I don't know, but it's gone. Now, we have to do the conversion here, but my guess is that's going to convert per liter. Now, the pound.
So a gallon will be $5, 5.24 pounds.
Right. And 5.24 pounds, I think, is close to $7 a gallon.
$6.49.
Say again?
$6.49.
Yeah. Now, the pound used to be quite a bit more than the dollar. At one point, it was almost double the dollar. Now, in Canada, the Canadian dollar is, it's to our advantage. If we go there and spend $1 US, we actually will get a little bit of an advantage over that. But fuel prices in Europe and the UK and Ireland and Sweden tend to be much higher. And that has to do with the volume and also the delivery mechanisms, the cost of delivery. And I don't know what level of government subsidies are in play for various international communities, but the U.S. has a fair amount of value added to fuel distribution throughout the states. Now, there are some taxes that impact some of that. California has fuel taxes. Dan points out $1.38 a pound is $1.71. At one point, $1.38 of the currency, the pound currency, was closer to $2.50.
Right. But I'm converting not only the pound, that's per liter. Then I have to take 3.8 liters as a gallon.
That's right. So the conversion, as you point out, and at one time, a friend of mine in Sweden was paying close to $10 a gallon, and he just said at that point he just stopped driving, and I said, well, what did you do for getting out, getting around, and so he just said he just stopped driving and tried to do everything, have purchases brought online and brought home. And he says there's probably some fuel cost impact to doing that, but it doesn't feel the same as draining the tank in your car. So California taxes are quite high on fuel. I think somewhere on the order of 40 to 50 cents per gallon. So it does make a difference. And we just had some tax increases here on our fuel in Washington State.
What's weird though is the gas has not gone up at like the Safeway in Paulsbo is almost $1 less than the tribal ones. That
right.
Makes no sense.
And I believe tribal fuel got an increase. They added some additional pennies per gallon for the tribal nation. So, but with Safeway and Costco, again, what they're doing, the savings they offer is the volume, because they're getting their prices calculated on a national basis. So if they're doing huge volumes of fuel, they can sell more of it and get the profit off the volume that some of the other stations can't do. Also, they're smart. They know if you're pulling into a Safeway to get gas, you're probably going to be shopping at Safeway as well. Kill two birds with one stone, which makes good sense. Not killing birds, by the way. I don't want any bird people calling us. We love birds, don't we, Dan?
Love our birds.
Yes, we do. So metaphorically speaking, if you can do both of those things at the same time, it's a good way to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've done gas. We've done car of the week. We've done an old school. We've got a huge. Next week will be a very big show.
Yes.
We will be able to watch Raffi do his magic live on Bring a Trailer for the 1972 Datsun pickup truck.
Pickup truck.
Pick them up.
Pick them up.
And if you want to see that truck, let's see if we have any update. No, it's still at $2,000 with 7 days to go. And the first bid was $1,500. The second was $2,000. Where's the creativity in these people?
There should have been 1972. Where was that?
It should have been first. Should have been a 1600.
Yes,
because it's a 1600, and then it should have been 1972.
There you go. Well, enjoy your lunch with your son, and wish him a happy birthday from me. Even though it's next week.
Well, you can do that next week.
We can do that next week. And happy birthday to my brother.
Happy birthday to your brother today, yes.
Yeah. And happy birthday to anyone else out there whose birthday is today or has a birthday coming up. And if your birthday is coming up, Dan and I will do a birthday salutation for you on the show.
Yes. And if your birthday is in the next 12 months, happy birthday to you as well.
Yes. And if you'd like, we can even do a birthday vehicle for you. We'll pick the car from the year you were born, and we'll feature it.
Oh, so maybe next week we'll do a 2005.
There you go.
That's an 18-year-old car.
I have a 2005 car.
Oh, that's right. Your car can vote this year. In some states, that's probably a thing. All right. That's all. All right. See you next week.
See you again.
Bye.